Hello, everyone listening on the smartsocial.com podcast, watching us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, or anywhere else that you're enjoying this today. I'm Josh Ochs, the founder of smartsocial.com, teaching the world how to shine online. And I'm honored that you listen to us or watch us today, because today we're talking with an author all about the tips and techniques you can use to keep your kids safe and smart online. I have today Diana Graber, the founder, the creator of Cyberwise. And she's here today to share with us some of the tips from her newest book. She's going to talk all about it. And I've got 4 or 5 great questions for her to pull out some of the data from this book that she's worked so hard on. Her book is called Raising Humans in a Digital World. Diana, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. As I was telling you earlier, apologize for the appearance. I just hopped off my bike.
Yeah, you're getting out and about.
If you're a human in the digital world, you got to be a human and do it all, right?
Yeah, you went out and got a little exercise in. I love it. I think it's good because everything online can be seen as fake, and here you are being real, right?
Real.
And when you're protecting others, you got to take care of yourself. And I love that you're exercising.
I took my helmet off.
Yeah, that would have been a different kind of podcast. Okay, so you've got this new book. Can you show us what it looks like, please?
Raising Humans in a Digital World. Very excited about it. Comes out on Tuesday, the 15th.
That's awesome. Okay, so January 15th, and if people that are listening to this after that, they can go pick it up on Amazon. It's available everywhere. We'll try and put the link to it below as well. Now, talk to us about, you've got a bunch of stats in the book. Did everybody listening to this, did you know that 50% of all teens feel addicted to their phones? 50%. I bet the same is true, or more so, for adults as well. 59% of U.S. teens have been bullied or harassed online, according to Pew Research Center in 2018. 39% of teens have sent or posted sexually suggested messages or sexting. That's from a report in 2017. And 80% of students can't differentiate between real and fake news. This online world, what are we ever going to do? Let me ask you this, Diana. What are some of the biggest frustrations that parents seem to have with social media or online, having their kids online?
Well, the thing that I'm hearing most from parents right now, it's the screen time. Like that seems to be everywhere I go. I'm sure it's the same for you. Parents are really concerned about the amount of time kids are spending online. That seems to be really the issue of the day.
Yeah. And what are some of your suggestions on how they can work with reduce that? Are parents frustrated most with the screen time they have, or their kids, or the lack of connection? Talk to us more about that.
Well, I think parents are worried about the screen time their children are spending. Children are worried about the screen time their parents are spending. So the two are not meeting somewhere in between. So we really have a situation here. And I don't like to say it's a problem. It's just a situation, right? Because these really powerful devices that have addictive qualities are out in the market. And, the technology makers make these products because they want people to use them, right? And so there's mechanisms built in them that make us want to come back and use them more and more. And so what we're finding is none of us are really able to put them down and walk away. So it's something we have to really work on together. And there's so many steps along this path. For one, parents should be modeling, putting down the phone here and there. And that's largely maybe not happening as much as we'd like it to be. But also with kids, I think there's a couple steps here. I think if we delay the screens a little longer, kids are smarter and they're able to have a little more self-control. Mm-hmm. And also, it's something we have to help kids with. I mean, we have to set boundaries. They're really looking to us for those guidelines and those boundaries and those ways to live a balanced life.
That's awesome. I like that. It's a situation, not a problem. That's great. Delay the screens. Couldn't agree more. And then set boundaries. That's really terrific. What's one of the biggest, let's talk a little bit about safety for a quick sec. I think you and I both agree. We need to set some safety, and then we can start really thriving in this online world. Are there any safety tips that, it could be around screen time, that you would suggest to parents?
Well, I touched on it here, but I really think the number one safety tip is to delay. And I really stress this with parents, that kids, when they're young, they're programmed to make mistakes, right? And they're going to make more mistakes before they have the cognitive hardware upstairs to think through the consequences of their action. And we know from brain research that it takes a brain about 12 or 13 years of life to do abstract thinking, which is a prerequisite to ethical thinking. All right. Everything we do online requires ethical thinking. Everything. Do I post a picture that's going to hurt someone's feelings? Do I respond to a text in kind of a snarky way? All those things are ethical questions that kids just are not ready to make. So I think a lot of our safety concerns would simply disappear if we delayed phones or just, delayed unfettered access to phones until the kids were a little bit older.
Yeah, I like that. Let's talk really quickly about an age. What do you recommend? I mean, it's different for every family, right? There's this menu, and a family can go, okay, I'm at the restaurant, I'll pick from what I want. But if you gave a menu to a family, what would your suggestion be?
Yeah, in my book, I really write that it's like building a house, right? So you start with a strong foundation, and you help your really young child build super good social emotional skills that can inoculate them when they go into this kind of hard to navigate world, right? And then it's a spectrum. As they get older, you teach them about the online world. You try to do it together. If you feel like your child needs to have access to you, give them a dumb phone, a phone that just texts or calls you here and there. And I never really recommend an age to a family because that's so dependent on the family's situation, really, what their circumstances. And then, I really strongly recommend to families to wait until that 12 or 13-year age range to give them that social media access, because the mistakes they make are so public and so long lasting. Give them a little bit of time to mature so that they're not making mistakes they're going to regret someday.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more with you. Delay. So wise. Okay. So
I'll tell you this. It's not, we'll get bashed for that. Right.
Yeah.
And I think people think I've heard the word used, Luddite or, it's not. I think it's common sense. Kids just need time to mature to do anything. I think it's not just phones. It's just life. They don't come out fully hatched. They need our help to get to the place where they can use these things wisely.
Let me do this. I like to be practical and tactical. You know that, Diana. I'm going to go through something. I want you to give me your professional advice, because I've got a screen here that we've been playing around with. Let's Work Live. It's all around your book, but you can see the screen right now. When should my kid get a phone? We've been playing around and asking parents, what do you think of this? Age to 0 to 10, no phone. Everybody listening online right now, we're just playing around with the slide. We want to provide a roadmap for parents so they can adjust it. 10 to 13, if your child must have a phone, if maybe you're separated from the child's other parent, and they go, I want to be able to contact the child. We flip phone. I don't like to call them dumb phone, but yeah, we all know it's a dumb phone. It's not a smartphone, but we go, here's a flip phone. It's hard to text. You can do it. Age 13, cell phone safety contract, like set of ground rules, like you just said so wisely. 14 is then maybe a smartphone without social media apps. I know people hate me, like, what? You're so old school. And then smartphone, once you have the training wheels, with social media apps. Where have I gone wrong here? What would you suggest? Those of you that are listening online, you can probably go see this on YouTube. You can see what we're doing. Diana, what's your tips here?
Well, you're going to get pushback on this for sure.
Yeah.
And it's controversial, but I'll tell you, like you, I talk to really parents on the ground that are struggling with so many issues surrounding all this stuff.
Yeah.
This solves so many problems right here. Going through, I'm with you. 0 to 10. I don't think a kid needs a phone. I think as awesome as phones are, they interfere with real life. And it breaks my heart to see kids missing out on some of the wonders of life. I had the most beautiful morning without my phone a few minutes ago, and I want kids to have that experience. Flip phone, great way to start. I think that's wonderful. Cell phone safety contract at age 13, when they have that ethical thinking capacity, is super smart. I would add there, I would put a little bit of pressure on schools to start helping us in this respect and teach kids the essential lessons of digital literacy. Those are great ages to intertwine that into your curriculum. I'm a huge advocate for that. I know you are too. smartphone without social media apps installed. I don't know. I think we could have a little discussion between ages 14 and 15. You probably know about the Wait Until 8th campaign.
Yeah, huge fan of theirs. Yeah. And those of everybody listening, wait until 8th. You can just Google wait until 8th, but it's waittill8th.org, I believe it is. We've had the founder on the podcast.
Yeah, I think they're really onto something. And I tell you, I have not visited a community where that has not come up. People are really loving that idea. And we do a little bit of ourselves through Cyber Civics, which is the 3-year program I teach. It finishes in 8th grade. And so some of my communities have decided that they're going to require their kids to do all the Cyber Civics lessons. And the reward at the end of the whole thing is they get the phone with everything in it because they're finally ready. They know all the ramifications. They know about privacy and fake news and all that stuff. So they're ready and good to go. So, you know,
so you've got Cyberwise, and then you have Cyber Civics, which is a website designed for the curriculum. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah, and that was actually started. My own children were approaching middle school, and I wanted them to be smart with these things. So I went back to school and got a master's in media psychology and social change, and ended up developing this program, which is now called Cyber Civics. And it's a weekly in-school program of lessons that teaches everything from digital citizenship to information literacy to media literacy. And today it's being taught in schools in over 40 states. So finally, this stuff is catching on.
Congratulations. That's really great. So talk to us next. So we've talked a little bit about online safety, your delay tip, which I love. Is there a misunderstood topic or assumption that parents might have that you're hearing often?
Well, you know, I mean, this is going to sound exactly the opposite of what we just talked about, but I think it's misunderstood that everything's bad online. I mean, there's some wonderful things, as you well know, that kids are doing with their digital devices. You know, a lot of creative kids are creating content. They're making videos, they're blogging, they're doing art. That kind of stuff is really cool. And then, you know, for the child who might feel like they're misunderstood or they don't fit in at school or they have different interests, they're finding affinity groups online and they're exploring things that they may not be learning in school. All of that stuff is super awesome. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it takes a while to get a kid to the point where they understand how to take advantage of the good and not fall into the trap of the stuff that's not so good.
Yeah, that's so true. Can you give us an example, a specific example, maybe an affinity group like STEM education or rocketry or something cool that a kid might be into that they find online?
You know what? I discovered a really cool one while I was writing my book. There's a series of books for preteens called The Guardian Herd. Have you ever heard of that before?
Oh, what's it called?
It's called The Guardian Herd.
Okay.
By Jennifer Alvarez, but they're super popular with like preteen, young teen, especially girls. They're about magical Pegasus. It's really cool. So anyway, what happened was this Artha wrote a series of books, and her readers were so engaged that they went online and they started creating like these places where they could share their stories about the book. They're on DeviantArt, which is a site where kids go to share art, and they're drawing incredible art pieces surrounding the book. They blog together. Two of her, young followers decided to write their own book together. I mean, these kids are connecting and they're creating, all surrounding this thing that they really love. And it's like fandom, right? And it's so cool because these kids don't have to have a book club at their school and talk to 3 friends about the book. They can talk to thousands of other fans and explore their interests surrounding the series of books. So that's such a great example of kids like connecting online around a passion, and I love it.
That's awesome. Talk to me about what is your dream for every child when they're a senior in high school. They've been online for a while. What are some of the best, maybe some of the best skills they have when approaching social media? Talk to me about a well-rounded child and what parents should know.
Well, I would love to see a child have well-rounded social skills online and offline. Mm-hmm. I think it's so easy to teach those skills offline first when they're young. So a child is able to have empathy for another or understand social cues or make complete sentences. So I still think it's a good thing to spell right online. Maybe I'm super old school. But all of those great skills are so easily developed offline. And as a child gets older, transition those skills into an online environment so that they are the same wonderful person online as they are offline. I would love to see kids, move through high school and beyond with those skills.
Agreed. That's a terrific and such a great example of well-rounded. And it's really interesting. As advanced as you are, you're suggesting a very basic safety thing for the well-roundedness of the child. Let's delay getting your kids involved with the smartphone, which is so wise. And as waittill8th.org says, let's let kids be kids a little while longer. What are some tips you would have for parents to set a good example for their children, maybe when it comes around screen time?
Well, obviously model screen time, put it down at the dinner table when you're driving. Someone just told me this, and it came from someone did a survey. Gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I can't remember. I heard this yesterday. Oh, it was one of the schools that I'm going to visit next week. And she did a survey amongst her students. She teaches cyber civics at her school. And she asked her kids, what's the one thing about technology that bothers you most in regards to your parents? And the number one thing, you're going to die when you hear this, they hate it when their parents text and drive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow, right? So
well, that's powerful for parents to hear that. Kids are watching.
Yeah. That is just, how would any of us feel were our teenager to, God forbid, get in an accident because they were texting and driving, and remember someday that we had modeled that.
Yeah. I was talking with somebody yesterday. You and I are both interviewing people all the time. And I was talking with somebody yesterday, and they said that one of the bigger tips or one of the bigger learnings from kids is that kids actually want boundaries to be set. And they're like, yes. I was talking to a teacher here in Southern California, and she said, actually, a lot of our kids are just waiting for parents to put some kind of boundary so they can have the freedom to not wonder where those boundaries are at. So parents, those of you that are listening right now, kids, not only are they you have to model, as Diana said so greatly, but also set those boundaries. As you saw on the screen earlier, have some kind of doesn't have to be a contract. It could be a plan. It could be whatever. It could be working with your kids, but some kind of something so that if you do delay the phone, which is a wonderful idea, you have a plan about what that looks like, how that's going to work, and your kids are a part of that conversation. Do you think that's wise, Diana?
Yeah, that's like parenting 101, right? Kids have always needed boundaries. It's just how it is. And it's so funny to me that for some reason, it's hard for parents to do that when it comes to their phones. I don't get that at all. And I'm sure you hear that a lot from parents, like, what do I do? It's 10 o'clock, my child's on their phone. Well, it's like, okay, who owns the phone? Who's paying for the phone? Who's paying for the Wi-Fi? Who's paying for the cellular? You have some rights as a parent. And I would argue it's also a responsibility because, again, kids are no match for these powerful devices. I know this. I heard this last week in one of my classrooms. This poor kid was so tired. And I'm like, gosh, why are you nodding off? Why are you so tired? He goes, oh, I played Minecraft till midnight. And then I couldn't fall asleep. I'm thinking, okay, where was the boundary for this poor kid? And he was bummed. He couldn't stay awake in class, It's so easy to say, look at phones off at 10, for the whole family, and just put them away somewhere and turn them back on the next morning at 8 o'clock or whatever. But kids have a really difficult time doing that for themselves.
Yeah, that's so true. And they're looking for somebody to be able to do that. Even we as adults, we love it when our boss tells us something like, hey, come in at 9. I want you here at 9. Okay, great. Because I was coming in at 8. I didn't know. We're looking for a boundary so that we know how to meet that need and we can feel like we're successful. What does success look like? And that's awesome. We just created a new free PDF download that there's a link below, and it's really our 3-step plan as well. How to monitor your kids online using Google. We have a tool called Footprint Friday. How to dialogue with your kid about their future, and then how to build a website with your kid and build an online brand, because we believe in every kid being having a resume online, and we're pushing that. Nice. And one of the things that we believe in step 2 of dialoguing and building that emotional well-being is a device-free hour at night. Yes, during dinner, but an hour before going to bed, put that device, because that blue light on your eyes, even if you wear red glasses like I do at night, I wear those amber nerdy glasses in bed because I wanted to look at my phone. That does not help me sleep. No. It hinders my sleep every night. If I do that, I can tell without a doubt if I look at this device. And, Diana, it's really interesting to think, never before in human history have we ever as humans looked into light. If you think about it, 100 years ago, we had candlelight at night, and people would read and do their best at night, and they would sleep well because you would never look into the candle or look into the sun. The sources of light would reflect on things. Now we are literally staring into light every day. These devices that are shooting, I mean, I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying it's a wonderful time to live. But never before have we said, I'm going to look at the sun at night. And that's why our body's like, whoa, what is going on? You're putting all these stimulants into me, and I think I should do. And I think our bodies need boundaries too, just like kids.
Crazy. I know. It's like, it's all happened so damn fast that we haven't really caught up and thought through like the long-term ramifications of all this stuff. I feel like it's, every tool reshapes society, right? And we know that. And some tools have reshaped society super significantly. But I would argue that this is the fastest shift we've had. And with that speed we've lost our time to contemplate it, and I think we have to do that right now, is ask ourselves, is this the kind of world that we want? Are we happy with this? No.
I so agree. I think you're so wise there. Every tool shapes society. That's really probably a very, very wise advice. And then also every tool shapes society, and then we react to it. We overreact, we underreact, and then we stabilize 3 to 5 years later.
Yeah.
Which is really fascinating. And we're seeing that stabilization, and every network's different. So people on Facebook, we all have friends on Facebook who complain a lot and talk about politics, and then something on Twitter could be different, and Instagram could be more positive. It's just interesting how all these different corners of the internet, people behave differently based on the features that are allowed on that network.
I'm glad you brought that up, because it's, I'm finding a lot more kindness on Instagram than I am on Facebook. I don't know about you. And I'm really hopeful, because I see a lot of really bright spots the way kids are communicating to each other on Instagram. We read about cyberbullying a lot, but what I observe with actual kids is they're pretty good about, staying positive and saying nice, kind things to one another. I see so many kids will put a picture up and other kids will respond, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're lovely. Wow, you're so not," I'm just seeing this, and it's just heartwarming. I really feel like maybe that pendulum is swinging and kids are learning to be kinder and nicer online.
That's awesome. And you're seeing more of that you're saying on Instagram?
Yeah.
That's really great. I'm going to click over to your screen. We're going to take a quick look at your book here right now. Here it is on Amazon. This is awesome. So everybody watching it, Raising Humans in a Digital World, Helping Kids Build a Healthy Relationship with Technology. It's on audiobook, Audible, love Audible, paperback, Kindle, MP3 CD, and this is great. You've already got a few customer reviews, which is terrific. So this is awesome. And people love you. And in fact, I have to tell you, I was bragging, I was complimenting you earlier. You're so great in this space. And I'm so thankful that we have somebody in this space like you, who's easy to listen to. You have wise advice. You're willing to share it. You're working hard to put your tips into the hands of parents. So I'm really thankful for all that you do to continue to travel around, because it's not easy jumping on planes and trains and automobiles.
Well, thank you. That's a very kind compliment. And likewise, it takes a village of us, right, to try to shift the tide a little bit. And kudos to you for the hard work you do as well. I know it's not easy to jump on a plane and be all over the place and to leave beautiful Southern California in the wintertime.
Yeah, indeed. So everybody that's listening to us here today, let's recap what Diana's taught us. It's a situation. There's going to be lots of little situations that technology put us in. I love that. Instead of a problem. I would side note that don't give up, parents. There's a lot of bad apps out there. Don't give up. Just start learning. Just like with a language, I speak a little bit of Spanish. And as soon as I hit that plateau of I've got enough vocab, then more words and vocabulary get easier. And all of a sudden, you're just adding things onto the piece you have. So this is a simple situation. Throw that situation into what we already know. Delay those screens. That's awesome. And you can get your kids a flip phone, as Diana said, which I think is so smart. Set those boundaries. Your kids are begging for it. And if they give you push back, work with them. Well, what do you think is fair? What's going on here? What do you want? And parenting, don't worry, I think we've kind of hinted at this indirectly, but some parents forget that parenting means your kids might hate you once a month. And you're not worrying about whether they like you or not might be an okay thing. If your kids dislike you every once a month, it means you're probably a decent parent. I love how you said 12 to 13 years old it takes 12 to 13 years for a child to get abstract thinking, and that's a prerequisite for ethical thinking, which is really, really terrific. And we shouldn't give them the phones right probably before that, which I love all your tips. I think they're so wise and so simple too. So I think that's great.
Thank you.
What's your last tip that you might have for parents going out there? What's your motivational tactic that you'd say, here's what I want you to do in 2019 for your family?
You know what? I'm going to jump on something you said earlier because I really love it, that your kids will hate you. You know? And so I guess for my final tip, I'm going to share a little story. My oldest daughter, when she was young, I didn't let her have access to everything. And thus she didn't play video games when she was super young. But when she got a little bit older, she started tutoring a girl who introduced her to Minecraft. And so my daughter came home and just read me the riot act for not letting her play games when she was little. So she resented me for a long time for that. And I had to hear about it every year, blah, blah, blah. Well, she's now a young adult, and I got to overhear her at Christmas time waxing poetic about her having an actual childhood because she wasn't glued to a screen all the time because I wouldn't let her have screens when she was little. And I was thinking, okay, all that crap she gave me all those years. Now she's grateful, you know, that she was able to enjoy a well-balanced childhood. So
good for you.
That's my advice to parents.
I love it. You got quiet there and I was worried. I was like, oh no, did I overstep bounds here? But yeah, I mean, your kids are going to hate you every once in a while.
Yeah.
Parenting more than worrying about them liking you.
Yeah. They'll thank you. I swear they will.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we don't want our kids to look back at their childhood with regret because there's things they missed. And that's the thing with screens. They're awesome, but sometimes they get in the way of really awesome other opportunities as well.
This is probably one of my favorite podcast interviews. So I really appreciate your time here today. This is great. For those of you that are listening right now, I want to give you a free download. I want to give you something that you can take home for free. And it's a new guide that my staff put together. And I'm going to share with you the screen right now. It is called How to Navigate Social Media with Your Student. It's a very simple 3-step plan. If you're wondering, where do I get started? I'd like you to consider clicking the link below and buying Diana's newest book. And going and reading through that, available here very, very soon. Also, we have this free guide, How to Navigate Social Media with Your Student. It's about a 5-page guide that's just very, very simple. You can visit smartsocial.com newsletter or click the link below. It's going to teach you how to use Google to monitor your kids online, which just changes the way people see their online results. When your kids and you look to Google, you're no longer the bad person. Google goes, whoa, here's who all the other people posting on your name. And then activities you can do offline to start to build that your child into thinking about their career and their future. And then we show you in this guide how to take positive group photos and share it on social media and online. It's a 3-step plan for everyone. Audit, dialogue, and have activities, and then start shining online for their future. You can click the link below to learn more. Diana, I'm so thankful for you and all that you do. You keep up the great work. I'm proud of you, and I want to do this again with you.
Right back at you. This was really great. I always enjoy our conversations, and yeah, let's do it. I'll even brush my hair next time.
you look wonderful. You look better than I do, and you just got off a bicycle.
Hey, we had a great time, and I always really appreciate our conversations. And you know, it takes a village, so let's just keep the village going.
It does indeed. Everybody that's listening to this, thank you so much. You can rate, subscribe, and review. We need all the help that we can get. Diana and I both. To reach more people, whether it's sharing this podcast or talking to somebody about some of the tips that we have. We need you not just to protect your children, but this is about you helping your children's friends to be protected. Like Diana said a few times, and I could not agree more, it takes a village to raise your child and to protect your child. And there will be no app that protects your kids more than you do, and more than those other parents that are well educated about how to keep your kids safe because they're looking out for your children as well. I want to thank all of you and Diana for joining us here today. I'm Josh Ochs with smartsocial.com. Click the links below. Take the next step to learn more. We'll see you guys soon. Have a great day.